Being part of early education is to be part of a historical movement dedicated to the rights of children for an education that fulfills all their potentials.
For me, belonging to early education has always been about being part of a like-minded community, a community of people who cared every bit as passionately about early childhood education as I do.
Early education has a long and rich history that has always been focused on supporting educators to develop their pedagogical practice. For me, what's important about that support is that it takes a principled approach, one that has children's needs and interests at its heart, and that's something that early education advocates and fights for on behalf of its members and the wider early years community.
To me, early education is a wonderful organisation that not only shares the most current thinking and evidence around early years, but is also firmly rooted in the rich tapestry of practice that we have in this country. It's also about bringing people together, it's about network and early years community, it's about the highest quality CPD for our members, and it's about campaigning. It's an organisation that stands up for us across the sector. Thank you, Early Education.
It's about having a connectedness to a professional learning community focused on early childhood, and it's a great source of pedagogical information about children and families from others around not only England but Scotland, Wales and to a certain extent internationally.
For me, being a member really is a sense of belonging. It's about us being a community and a community of learners that have a genuine interest in supporting children and families. We are basically a connected network. It also supports my ongoing learning, helping me to continue to grow and develop as an early years professional. Being a member also provides me with access to up-to-date research as well as a range of other resources.
I'm Cathy Nutt-Brown and I'm privileged to be President of Early Education. Early Education has been working to support its members throughout this time of lockdown, informing, providing online CPD, adapting to meet present needs of those who are staying at home and those who overnight were identified as being part of the frontline key workforce. Those whose settings are open have had to adapt to changing practices, and I've heard so many stories of parents who are trying to home educate their children who appreciate quite what it is that early years educators do day in, day out. The contributors to this film have talked of courage, support, networking, companionship, inspiration and community. They appreciate the lobbying and campaigning work that early education does. And as and when we do emerge from this global crisis, which is touching all of us in many different ways, early education will still be there supporting the work practitioners are doing with children and their families. For some, poverty will never have been so acute and struggle never more harsh. And many children will rejoice in the freedom to play outdoors again.
Early education provides a voice and support to all members, especially in these difficult times. My thoughts are all with practitioners working with the most vulnerable children in our settings. And I want you to please remember the smiles that they give you. That's what makes it all worthwhile.
Even as a young teacher, being part of early education meant that I felt I had support, companionship, and a sense of being part of something that was bigger and certainly had more influence than I could ever have as an individual teacher or in my school or in my local authority. And we need this influence more than ever, I think, at the moment, don't we? There are changes afoot to early years in this country about which many of us profoundly disagree, and our voices need to be heard. Alone we can sometimes feel powerless to make change, but as part of that early education community, then what we have is strength, and we can feel that sense of solidarity that gives us the courage to go on standing up for children and their needs and their rights.
I always stand in awe of those who work in early childhood education and care settings, and the careful and considered ways that they work with and support the children in their settings. But I also know that the work that they do extends far beyond what might be observed in the day-to-day humdrum of an early years setting, as they will also be working hard to build relationships with families. Often those relationships are about supporting those in vulnerable circumstances, and I know this has been brought to the fore for many at the moment. As you work with your children and families, know that your early education community are here to support you.
Being an early education member is about being part of a community that shares the same passion for early years. During this time, we can strengthen our workforce. We could do the online training that we've been meaning to do for ages, read the blogs, the books, the research that will strengthen our principles, maybe even make the resources that will inspire our children when we return, because soon we'll be back, but this time we'll be back stronger.
We would have been hosting the annual national conference this May here in Aberdeen, but sadly it had to be put on hold. But rest assured there is a warm welcome waiting for you here all next year. So please remain positive in these difficult times. Our branch is always here if you want to talk, and we'd be happy to help if we can. We are going to get through this together and we'll come out of it even stronger. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care everyone and stay safe.
Being a member of early education is like being part of a big, warm family, a community who offers support and advice and guidance. And I'd like to say a massive thanks to those at the moment who are writing articles, writing blogs, signposting, sharing, giving webinars for the first time, and generally offering a range of support. I'm confident and hopeful that we'll get through this and we'll be an even stronger community than before, and we'll continue to work together to support the children and families that we so passionately care about. Stay safe and take care.
Almost 100 years ago, Margaret Macmillan, Early Education's first president, stood for high quality education and care for young children and high quality professional development and qualifications for their educators. She would have been very proud. She, like me, would have been sad to miss the national conference, which would have been in Aberdeen this May, an event which always inspires and challenges those who attend. We will meet in Aberdeen sometime, in not too long. We will recover. Right now, we're thinking of everyone in early education, of young children and their families, who are doing their very best to come through something quite terrible, to come to terms with rapid change and to adapt to situations which we never could have anticipated. And in all of this, early education is still lobbying, still supporting, still keeping us informed, staying strong. Take care.